Today we're going to be taking a look at the R2-D2s I 3D printed and painted. Now you're probably wondering why I didn't say that I made them, and that's because it's not my file. I found this on Thingiverse, and it is already made for me so I could download it. If you have yourself a resin 3D printer, you could print them out yourself, and make him too. What I did was I just painted him, and screwed all the parts together, except for one of them. And that is the BB-8 right over here. This one was made of clay and was hand sculpted. Now you're probably wondering why he's on a bottle cap, and that's because if you put him down like that, he'll roll off. So you grab a bottle cap, put him on, and he'll stay put just like that. Moving right along, let's take a look at all the other droids. Now these are all R2-D2 bodies, and you're probably wondering, what happened to that one? Why is he all messed up? And the reason for that is because he was a misprint. He was a misprint, he was a misprint, he was a misprint, and he was a misprint. These were all misprints except for that one, and that's why he's R2-D2, and I had these spares. Now what I do with my spares is I try to give them a purpose. Like for all these guys, they were all busted. For him, I try to make him more of a damaged robot because he didn't have his full body printed, so I tried to give him purpose by making him damaged. For that one, his bottom was all busted, so I made him dirty. For this one, he had a big gash on his side, so I tried to adapt it to make it kind of look like he got in some type of war or something. So you just kind of work with what you got, and of course, if it was any worse than that robot, he probably got thrown out because you can't really do anything else with that. So putting that one back and checking out this one, he looks fine for the most part, other than his arms, and these little things got messed up during the print. Other than that, he got the closest, and that's why I made him the most like R2-D2, but not quite like him. Moving on, let's now check out R2-D2. And here is R2-D2 in all his glory. Now one thing about him is he has a head swivel, and how I did that is I grabbed clay and I shaped it to go in this hole right here, so it'll be nice and snug, and it'll also be able to move like this. Moving right down to the legs on the side go back and forth, and they're able to move, with the middle leg being attached by a magnet, and you could take it off and have him stand straight forward like this, like he does when he's turned off. If you want to put the little leg in the middle, the feet go back and forth and they're able to move, so it could fit right in, and he could look like he's rolling around. And for the little leg, it's able to move back and forth like the other one by this little joint right here. And if the camera would focus, you can see the little triangle thing right here, and it's wide enough to fit in and be snug to where it can move. And there you go, that's the leg, and you just pop it back on the R2-D2 with the magnet, and oh, gotta be careful, make sure it is in so you can move it around without it falling off like that. And there you go. Moving right along to the BB-8, he's a lot different than the R2-D2, and that's because he was hand sculpted, like I said earlier, and also he's a lot smaller. Now how I did him was I grabbed clay. I had to make these all separate parts. Sadly, he wouldn't just fly by with just a regular ball shape. I had to sculpt every single shape on this guy, and it was not easy, and it took a lot of time. The silver was done with paint, and how I got the little chrome white effect is I had this metallic shell spray paint, and I just hit them all over with it. The wire up top is made of a staple, so the wires won't break off, because if it were made of plastic or anything else, they'll be way too thin. The head's able to move around by a toothpick, just like that, and it has a little hole and a little divot, so you pop the head on like this. You got to make sure you don't poke yourself with the little wires up top, and there you go, that is BB-8. I think this one's probably one of my favorites. I just like how he looks, and I think just because he was hand sculpted, I have a little bit more of a connection. I do like R2, but I do love BB-8 as well. Now doing a brief size comparison between the BB-8 and R2-D2. BB-8 is half the size. Of course, he doesn't really look like half the size because he's on the bottle cap, but he is, just like in the movie. They look great. Now, how these guys were painted was I hit them with spray paint, silver for the head for this guy, white for the body, and navy blue for the legs. These were all attached with screws and holes drilled into them so they could bend like that. And also, I used a paint marker to get all the other details, and I feel like that gives you more control over what you want painted because it helps you get the sharp corners. I made a design up top just so I could have that unique look to it, and it is broken there, so that's why this head did not make it for the cut. After you glue everything and drill everything, you get an R2-D2. And that wraps it up for the review of the droids. I'm sorry I didn't put the BB-8 in the short in the beginning, but I was happy to include them in the video. Now I do bet there is a file somewhere on Thingiverse of the BB-8, but I know for sure there is one for R2-D2. And you just look up Thingiverse, look up R2-D2, and you'll be able to print them out yourself. I prefer a resin 3D printer just to get the more smaller details at a smaller scale. And I do believe that wraps it up for the whole video. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. It's a couple clicks for you, but it means a whole lot to me. On that note, thank you guys for watching.